Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. So we'll continue our discussion on this purpose. So here we are seeing the Kumara's discussion with Prithu Maharaj. So they are giving a proper understanding of how entity entangles and how to come out of it. So this is the standard discussion all the time, but the way it is explained will different according to the realization of the devotees. So the concept will be same only. If take Kunti Maharani or Bhishma Dev prayers or anybody is giving instructions Vyasdev to Narada Muni, the theme is to help a living entity come out of ignorance, but the way they explain may be based on the realization they have. So here we are seeing the Kumaras, they are trying to explain in terms of a little bit of jnana, and then how they say that soul is very pure, and because of sense gratification, different desires, and he has different designations, and then only because of different causes does a person see difference between himself and others. So like that, they have given instructions, and then they say that mind becomes agitated as a result of continuous thinking of sense gratification, and he loses one's real consciousness, almost become lost, like the water in the lake, which is gradually sucked by the grass, big grass straws on its bank. So this is the analogy they give how our consciousness, which is meant to be focused on Krishna, is focusing on sense gratification. So in that way, not that we don't have conscious, but we are not having a proper Krishna consciousness. So that is the point. We are conscious of something matter, dull, and we are in a Mukalita Chetana, and so Sankuchit Chetana, like that, very dull, like animals and trees, they are very, very dull consciousness. So, not that they are not conscious, but it is not high. Highest consciousness is Krishna conscious. But what happened because of our wrong absorption, our consciousness is lost. Then they say that when one deviates from his original consciousness, he loses a capacity to remember his previous position or recognize his present one. When remembrance is lost, all knowledge acquired is based on false foundation. When when this occurs, land scholars consider the soul is lost. So what happens is I start thinking that I am Indian, and I am a Brahmana, and I am a man, I am a engineer. So you start giving ourselves a wrong designations, and based on that wrong foundation, whatever knowledge I acquire, it is wrong only because the foundation itself is wrong. I start thinking I am something else which I am not, and if I am making all the activities based on it, and then like say if a man thinks he is a woman and he start doing all the things, then people say, "Arey, you are not a woman, you are a man." So your understanding itself is wrong. So similarly for us also, the original understanding itself is wrong based on the what consciousness we are developing is completely wrong. Like what is told in the school, what is told in the college, even though they are giving knowledge, but it is avidya only in one level. They are they are giving avidya because it is not connect. We may say, "Arey, it is such an important knowledge." Yeah, knowledge about matter, dull matter, but what about the knowledge about soul, which is real person? So that knowledge is not given. So that is where the problem comes, that we are not understanding what we are. So even though I'm doing PhD and double PhDs, what is the value of it if the original basis is only wrong? If I'm thinking I'm body and develop everything, you develop it wrong. The formula itself you have put wrong. So this is where the problem comes, and that's why it is called killer of the soul, because you are not working on the. But if you take Vedic education, ultimately, the beginning only it is told you are not the body, spirit, soul, and now you start learning. So any education that is given in Vedic way is first is told you are not the body, spirit, soul, and then the education is given. And then you say, okay, you go to Ayurveda. The Ayurveda says, okay, how to cure a problem. I get a disease or something, go to doctor, he will give medicine to cure. Then he gives a lifestyle so that which is needed. So not to get cured also you need a particular lifestyle, not just medicine. And the third thing he gives a lifestyle which will make you immune for further diseases. And the fourth stage they will tell all these diseases because you are identifying with the body and a material consciousness. So give up that material consciousness. So ultimately the point is brought soul only. So any education, Vedic education is like that. Of course, even there is some level of avidya. No, Vedas also Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Even the knowledge in the Vedas also should be transcended. So that is also a point. So here we are the children are not told who are they. They are told something wrong and then they are educated something wrong. Of course, we are also educated like that only. We are told somewhere here and there we heard we are not the body, spirit, soul. But it did not make any sense. We just know purpose of life is to enjoy nicely. And then they say that there is no stronger obstruction of one's self interest. Just a minute. Hare Krishna. So here there is no stronger obstruction to one's self interest than thinking other subject matters to be more pleasing than one's self realization. So this is the what is strong obstruction. So even the top CEOs of all the companies, it is also they're thinking other subject matter to be more pleasing than self realization. So this is the strongest obstruction to one's self interest. This is why the acharyas and all, even though they are looking externally very successful, but it is not what their self interest is. It is not like we have the top CEOs of most successful companies and big CEOs are there, but it is not what they want. They may look externally successful and they may show that know how to achieve success and they give success formulas also, but what is the point? That is not we want. That is not even they want. Even they themselves are fooled by it. So this is the point. So nata parataro loke pumsaha swartha vyatikramaha यत् अद्य अन्यस्य प्रेयष्ट्वम् आत्मनः स्वव्यतिक्रमात्. So this is actually what Kumaras are telling. So it is Atmasva Vatikramat. It is an obstruction to one's self interest. So, very nice understanding we should get. So, this is the realization of Kumaras, they are telling. Our human society constantly thinking of how to earn money and apply it for sense gratification brings about the destruction of everyone's interest. When one becomes devoid of knowledge and devotional service, he enters into species of life like those of trees and stones. So this is the destruction of one's self-interest. So nate vidu swartha katim hi Vishnu. We should know what is my real self-interest. That is a very unfortunate situation. This is a destruction of one's self-interest. So swartha katim is Vishnu, right? So here it says that those who strongly desire to cross the ocean of nescience must not associate with the modes of ignorance, for hedonistic activities are the greatest obstructions to realization of religious principle, economic development, regulated sense gratification, and at last liberation. So this is what is happening here. That people who are, no, all these things are. If we want to get out of this material world, then these are all obstacles. Dharma, artha, kam, moksha are an obstructions if we want to get real thing. Out of the four principles, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, liberation has to be taken very seriously. Other three are subjects to destruction by the stringent laws of nature, which is death. So other three will be subject to destruction: dharma, artha, and kama. So only seriously what we should take is liberation. Liberation in this is not Sahajya Mukti. Here it is to get out of mental entanglement and achieve Krishna like that. And then since we accept as blessings different stages of higher life, distinguishing them from lower stages of life, but we should know that such distinctions exist only in relation to the interchange of modes of mental nature. Actually, these stages of life have no permanent existence, for all of them will be destroyed by the supreme controller. So, this is very, very important. So, pare avare cha ye bhava guna vetikarat anu natte sham vyadyate kshemam isha vidvamsita sisha. So, here says vidvamsita sat. Vidvamshat, destroyed. So they are all destroyed. Ashisham. So so here it is said that we accept the blessings of higher life, distinguishing them from the lower stage of life. Say somebody in a small house, and for him, if he gets a big palatial building, so he thinks, wow, this is the blessings. I got a building instead of a house. So small house, big building. So according to us, we accept as blessings different stages of life, distinguishing them from the lower stage of life. But very important, we should know that such distinctions exist only in relation to interchange of modes of mental nature. So this is only because of interchange of modes. So this is nothing to do with, actually these stages of life have no permanent existence, for all of them will be destroyed by the supreme controller. Hmm. So no permanent existence. So here both are going to be destroyed. So this is the reality we have to accept. So Prabhupada said, "A Brahma Bhuvanar Loka Punaravartano Arjuna Mamupetyata Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyati." Like that. And many people try. Tattvam Nirendra Jagata Mata Tatsu Shamcha Dehendriyashu Dishanatmabhir Avritana Yah Kshetrivat Hridivi Ishvavik Avaha Pratyakchakashi Bhagavam Stama Avehi Sosmi. Sanat Kumar advised the king, therefore, my dear King Prithu, try to understand the Supreme Personality of God who is living within everyone's heart along with the individual soul. In each and every body, either moving or non moving, the individual soul are fully covered with a gross material body and subtle body made of life, air, and intelligence. So, nice thing they are giving that. So, Lord is in everyone's heart, who is within everyone's heart, and along with the individual soul. Atma is there, Paramatma, Kshetragnim, Chapimad, the Sarva Kshetra. In each and every, either moving or non-moving, everywhere Lord is there. The individual souls are fully covered by gross mental body and subtle body made of life, air, and intelligence. So pranavayu. So we have gross body, subtle body, and ethereal body also, which is of pranavayus, which is much more subtler. But we don't count. We only count gross body and subtle body because the prana once you goes, nothing is there. So this verse is specifically advised that instead of wasting time in human form of life, enduring for economic development and sense gratification, one should try to cultivate spiritual values by understanding Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is existing with individual souls within everyone's heart. So to understand this is to attain actual spiritual culture. So why spiritual culture? So that we understand this aspect that there is Atma and Paramatma. So there are two ways of advancing spiritual culture by method of impersonal and then devotional. So, but and this is what and here another thing, yeah, idam shariram kaunteya kshetram it abhidiyate. So this body is called kshetra, and the properties of the body, individual soul and super soul sitting within the body, are both called kshetravit. But there is a difference between the two kinds of kshetravit. One kshetravit or knower of body, namely the Paramatma or the super soul, is directing the individual soul. So when we rightly take the direction of super soul, our life becomes successful. He is directing from within and from without. And from within he is directing as Chaitya Guru, and then without is directly Guru is coming. So and in conclusion, one should not waste time by so called economic development, sense gratification, but should cultivate spiritual knowledge to understand super soul and individual soul. And for that, we have to, if it is said that if one takes to the path of liberation, even rejecting his so called duties in the material world, there is no loss. त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं चरणाम्बुजं हरेर् भजन्न पक्वोतपते ततो यदि यत्राकवा उद्धभूतमश्वकिं को वार्तापतो भजतां स्वधर्मतः. And then next sloka Kumara says, Yasmin idam sadasad atmatyad vibhati maya viveka viduti srijavahi buddhi tvam nityamukta parishuddha vishuddha tattvam pratyudya karma kalila prakritim prapadye. The Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests himself as one with the cause and effect within this body, but one who has transcended the illusory energy by deliberate consideration, which clears the misconception of a snake for a rope, can understand the Paramatma is eternally transcendental to material creation and situated in pure internal energy. Thus, the Lord is transcendental to all material contamination. Unto Him only must one surrender. So, this is then it is said that about the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental, is which clears the misconception of snake, is free from illusion, is so now he is telling that whom to surrender. So the solution part is surrender to Supreme Lord. Surrender to Supreme Lord. And who is that Supreme Lord? So that is what is explained in this verse. So this verse is specifically stated to defy the Mayavadi conclusion of oneness without the difference between the individual soul and super soul. This is what Prabhupada is writing here. Sarva, and he also gives Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja. We have to surrender to the Supreme Lord, nobody else. This is a Vaishnava philosophy. And then the very famous verse comes Yat Pada Pankaja Palasa Vilasa Bhaktya Karma Shrayam Gatitamutgatayanti Santaha Tadvannariktamatayo Yatayo Piruddha Shroto Ganam Stamaranam Bhajavasudevam. The devotee who are engaged in the service of the toes of the lotus feet of Lord can very easily overcome the hard knotted desires for fruitive activities because this is very difficult. The non-devotees, the jnanis and yogis, although trying to stop the way of sense gratification, cannot do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. So, for somebody, for yogis and jnanis, they are although trying to stop the waves of sense gratification, cannot do. But just by meditating on the lotus feet of Lord, devotees they can easily overcome the hard knotted desires for fruitive activities. So this is the secret because they are always engaged in the service of the toes of lotus feet of Lord. Because it is very difficult for non-devotees, jnanis, yogis who are trying to do but cannot do it. Therefore, better serve Krishna. So, yat pada pankaja palasa vilasa bhaktya. So that is what the feet which are like lotus palasa, the petals of the toes, vilasa, enjoy bhaktya. So we enjoy in serving the lotus feet of Lord. Karmashrayam gatitam udgatayanti santaha. So the fruitive activities which are very difficult, you know. Ashayam means desires. And Gatitam means hard knots. Udgatayanti, root out santaha, devotees. So, which is not possible. Tadvanna riktamatayo yatoyo piruddha, which are difficult. So, the Satoguna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, they are like very strong ropes which are binding all of us in sense gratification. वासुदेवे भगवती भक्तियोगप्रयोजितः जनयत्याश्वैराग्यं ज्ञानं च हृदयितुकम्. So this is actually what Suta Goswami is telling. We get jnana and vairagya along with bhakti. Prabhupada saying here also the same point says Bhaja Vasudevam indicates that one who is engaged in the loving service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, can very easily stop the waves of desires. As long as one continues to try to artificially stop the waves of desires, he will certainly be defeated. And desire for fruitive activities are strong rooted, but the tree of desires can be uprooted completely by devotional service because devotional service implies superior desires. So it's not that we are giving up desires, we are adding superior desires. So that's why I have a strong rooted desire to enjoy sense gratification, but like example is uh, when the mother want to enjoy watching TV, but the child comes and sits in the lap and she starts crying. The mother switch off the TV and takes care of the child because her love for the child is stronger than her desire to enjoy the movie. So if you have something, so she her desire to move is not removed, but it is replaced by a desire to serve the child. So like that, there is by devotional service, because devotional service employs superior desire. So one can give up inferior desires when engaged in superior desires. So why mother able to give up the TV? Because of her love for the child. So for us also it should be, I want to please Krishna. So our desire is higher. To try to stop desire is impossible. One has to desire the supreme in order not to be entangled in inferior desires. Jnanis maintain a desire to become one with the supreme, but such desire is also considered as kama lust. So, Prabhupada, right? Desire becomes a source of spiritual enjoyment under the protection of the toes of lotus feet of the Lord. It is stated herein by the Kumaras that the lotus feet of Krishna are ultimate reservoir of all pleasure. So one should therefore take shelter of the. So we want to pleasure. We are all seeking pleasure. Anandam yobhyasat. But we should seek pleasure, the real pleasure. One should therefore take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord instead of trying unsuccessfully to stop desires for material enjoyment. As long as one is unable to stop the desire for material enjoyment, there is no possibility of becoming liberated from the entanglement of material existence. So Prabhupada says it may be argued that the waves of a river are incessantly flowing and that they cannot be stopped, but the wave of rivers flow towards the sea. When the tide comes over the river, it overwhelms the flowing of the river, and the river itself becomes overflowed, and the waves from the sea become more predominant than the waves from the river. Similarly, a devotee with intelligence plans so many things for the service of Lord in Krishna conscious that stagnate material desires from becoming overwhelmed by the desire to serve the Lord. So this is what Kumaras are giving guidance. Next they say Krichro Mahaniha Bhavarnavamalplavesham Sadvarganakram Asukena Titirshanti Tattvam Harer Bhagavato Bhajaniyamagrim Kritvodupam Vyasanam Uttaradustararnam. The ocean of nations is very difficult to cross because it is infected with many dangerous sharks. Although those who are non devotees undergo severe austerities and penance to cross that ocean, we recommend that you simply take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are like boats for crossing the ocean. Although the ocean is difficult to cross, by taking shelter of his lotus feet, you will overcome all dangers. So it is very dangerous ocean, and although those who are non-devotees undergo severe austerities and penance to cross, he says, no, for you, simple recommendation. Take the shelter of lotus feet of Lord, which are like boats for crossing the ocean. That's all. Very difficult, but lotus feet of Lord are there. And Prabhupada writes, material existence is compared herein to the great ocean of nescience. Another name of ocean is Vaitarani. In that Vaitarani ocean, which is the causal ocean, there are innumerable universes floating like footballs. On the other side of the ocean is spiritual world of Vaikunta, which is described in Bhagavad Gita as Parastasmat Bhavanya. Thus, there is an ever-existing spiritual nature which is beyond this material nature. So we all have to go that and four Kumaras saw that side and came, and then they are advertising. So here ends the four Kumaras instructions to Prithu Maharaj. So we'll continue the discussion tomorrow. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila